Hello YouTube Vintage Stereo Restorers. Hey, I wanted to talk to you kind of a little bit of quick detail about the phono amplifier board, the preamplifier board on this KA-2000. And this board appears in quite a few of the early Kenwoods. It's in the KA-2000, the TK-150, the TK-250, the TW-41, the TW-61. It's in the KR33, the TK40, the TK66, I believe the TK80 uses this one as well. So mid to late 60s that have a separate phono preamp board. And it's actually very similar to what's in some of the early Sonys, like the Sony TA1010, and the Pioneer SA500 has a very similar two-channel, two-transistor on each channel amp. And the receivers actually have a separation control, and that's because in the stereo receivers it uses the second transistor to amplify the tuner board, give it more gain. So it saves a stage on the tuner board, and they were getting pretty efficient even at that point in their design. But I wanted to talk about the components I've changed. So basically we have a mirror image here. I've changed, started on this, completely done the first channel, started on the second. I thought you should see this. Okay, the two transistors, one is a C458, one's a C632. I believe the C632 was a replacement because the soldering was a little heavy duty underneath it. So I've replaced the two with a 3904 each, and I know I talk about those a lot. It's just a great general purpose low noise transistor, and a plastic 2222 will work as well. And the one thing about these, even though they were working, they have badly tarnished leads. Some call this black lead disease, because the leads, which has some kind of plating on them, when they get to that point where it's the whole transistor, you can maybe see it on this one, from where it's soldered to where it goes into the plastic has turned completely black. And that's the point they get noisy. It actually goes right into the case. And there's some people talk about, cleaning the leads off and putting it back in. A 2N3904 is like, they're about 4 cents a piece when you buy them, buy 100 transistors, which is what I do. Buy a whole bag of them. I think the whole bag, I don't know, it was $9. Anyway, the C632, I believe, which is the first transistor off the phono cartridge, that was changed to look after a noise problem. Another issue, so you do the obvious things, the electrolytic caps, and there are a couple ones that had seeped, and it's not glue. That one had seeped. That one was okay. The 100 was okay. Where's the other one? I know there's another one. This 33 microfarad had seeped out a bit. So do all the electrolytics. These mylars or polyesters, whatever they are, they'll be fine. And then last word on resistors here. Each channel has, I think I said this in the last video, two of these tubular resistors, so it's like a little mini wire wound, and they use that. So that's in the collector circuit of one and the emitter circuit of the other. These go noisy. I don't know why. I found this. I was working on a Pioneer SX34 and a Knight KNI-935, which use the same Panasonic design, and there's tons of these in there, and the thing was just noisy. I replaced, must have been 30 of these in the SX34 to get it to quiet down. Anyway, so just use standard, like those are quarter watt resistors to replace them. You'll be glad you did, because in the early days of doing this, I would leave those in, put new transistors, new caps. You got to put this board in kind of upside down. You got to solder all the leads back on, and then you turn it on, and you got one or both channels with a lot of noise, a lot of that type of noise. And I mean, you want a quiet noise floor in your records because of the high level of amplification. And then so I probed around, and it was always those resistors, in particular the 560K one. So now I just replace them. You end up with a phono board that's quieter than it probably was originally, because these old transistors, although they work great, and it was amazing how small a package it was for the time, they just had it, just like the early germanium ones, they had issues and they did go noisy. A lot of germanium ones had these the crystals grew inside them and could bridge them. With these, it's like say a question of that varnish or whatever happens to them gets them noisy. So anyway, I'm going to do the other half of the board, put it back in. I would say 99% chance that it'll work great. So thanks for watching and listening.